Whatever.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Matt Muldoon. This is Pointless, and you are...
Matt Farley.
Hi, Matt. How are you doing today?
Great. Yeah, this is an honor. Thank you.
I'm so happy that you agreed to do this interview. I'm so happy. And as a thank you, I want to give you this Merrimack College mug.
Nice. I love this. Yeah. Woo.
Several Supreme Beings, which is the name of the latest
Most Haven album. Yeah, this is a good Merrimack College mug. I don't know if I'm going to ever want to wash it. Do you think the Sharpie will go out in the washing machine?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll hand wash it. Yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
And you just gave me this copy of your book, The Motern Method.
Yes.
Like your creative process. What can I expect to find when I open up this book?
The book opens up by saying, this is just what I do. And I don't always even do it this way. So there's no wrong way to do it. That's my first thing. Secondly, then I really get into it. And basically my approach is like, never say no to an idea. Because it's like, whatever part of your brain comes up with ideas, it gets mad if you don't listen to it, you know? Mm-hmm. So if it gives you an idea and you don't do anything with it, then it's like, yeah, forget it. I'm not giving you any more ideas, you know? So if you follow through with the idea, no matter how good or bad it might be, then the idea part of your brain will be like, oh, here's another one. And maybe that one will be a good idea, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I cannot wait. I do improv at my college. Nice. So hopefully that kind of like method of thinking, the Motern method, will...
Yeah, I think it will help. It definitely has an improv... the whole yes and thing for improv. It's like, yeah, just go with it. And I mean, to the point where I would even advocate spending a year making a feature-length movie, even if it's a bad idea, and finishing it and releasing it, even if you're embarrassed by it, just put it out there, all for the sake of getting the next idea. And in the meantime, you've learned how to make a feature-length movie, Right. You've learned how to release it. So then when you get a good idea, you'll know what to do with it. You've
kind of been through it already.
Yes.
You kind of like learn as you go.
Yeah. Because if you don't have the finished product in mind when you're doing it, I feel like you're not truly investing in the project, That if you just look at it as practice, then there's something missing in that case. I don't know what it is, but that's my plan. Anyway, yeah, it's good. It's good bathroom reading. You can just flip to any random page. It's not like you have to read it all in order. Very short chapters.
Oh, I'm very excited to read this, and thank you so much.
Of course.
Speaking of making movies, I kind of want to get into my first question, which is, with the amount of work you do, you must have a pretty strict kind of schedule. You run a podcast, you release movies, you release songs. You said on that podcast that deadlines kind of motivate you to be more creative.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to ask you, what does your average schedule look like, and how do you motivate yourself to stick to those deadlines for your projects?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for one thing, I have just a lot of guilt, and guilt is a good... Everyone's like, oh, I don't want to feel guilty. I'm like, guilt is good. Guilt inspires me to be creative. I'm pro-guilt. So I guess I take my deadlines seriously, because if I don't live up to them, I'm going to feel bad about myself. And so I don't want to feel bad about myself, and therefore I'm going to push myself to live up to the goal. And basically, for music, we did that Most Haven album. We knew it had to be released by December 31st, and so we didn't really start until around Thanksgiving,
Wow.
So we had that month, and we're just like, and Tom, who's the other member of that duo, he and I have been kind of doing this stuff for years. So it was just like, yeah, of course it has to be done by the 31st, even though it doesn't have to. We're not going to lose our jobs if we don't do it, because we're not being paid for this album, but there's just something about it. Because I guess just in my experience, I've seen other people start projects and never finish them. It's just like there's something about momentum, like keep creating while the momentum's there. Because if there's if you take 2 weeks off, then you're going to take 4 weeks off, and then you're never going to pick it up again. So, and also like there's nothing else I'd rather be doing too. Like I'm living the dream, that I had just to be, 45 years old and to have time to record songs in a little room. Like that's a miracle. And I try not to take that for granted.
With all the content that you release, how do you strike a balance like between like what you release? Because like I said, you release movies, you release songs, but all in enormous amounts. Yeah. So I was wondering how you kind of like break up your schedule to work on all of those at once.
Yeah. I look at it more just a couple months in advance in general, kind of like right now we're writing a script for a movie that we're going to film in the spring. And so I know starting like in May, I'm going to be real busy with the movie. So it's like, okay, I should double down on recording songs now because I have time to record songs. And therefore, I won't feel bad about the fact that I'm not recording songs while we're filming the movie. That's about it. And then I try to, for the song, like the silly songs are my income, so like it's my job. And so I want to keep on producing those so that I can earn money and afford to do all the other stuff. So currently I'm on like at least 50 songs a month of those type of songs, and so that means I'll do at least 600 of those in a year. And I'm pretty strict with myself about that, about making sure I hit that quota. And frankly, I'll probably actually go over it, and that's good. But yeah, and then just I guess I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit organized about stuff like that, and like I said, I'm always thinking about it too. So it's just like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure I can finish these projects, and then just schedule things from there.
If you had to sacrifice all of your projects to the void to save the world, but you get to keep one of your projects, which one would you save? Because you have over 80 names,
right? Like
recording names, and if you could save one of those to save the entire world, which one would you choose?
Okay, so one of my musical personas can be saved. Everything else has got to be sacrificed. Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to save The Big Heist, which is the band I do with Tom and Pete and Froggy. And, it's fun collaborating with other people. And I'm real proud of the albums that we've produced right there. So, yeah, let's keep The Big Heist. But then after this happens, I'm going to go back and re-record all the other songs too. After the world has been saved and I've sacrificed, I'm going to spend the next 2 decades meticulously recreating my previous 25,000 songs.
Just like Taylor Swift.
Yes. A post-apocalypse version, yeah.
You released 5 albums with Big Heist last year, is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So we called it the 50. It was originally called the 100 when we first came up with the idea. Mm-hmm. And then about 6 months later, I was like, guys, I've noticed that we've only recorded about 6 songs so far. We got to make it the 50 because this is going to completely take over our lives otherwise. So yeah, it's the 50, and the bulk of it was like a 4-day long weekend in my basement, January 2022, I believe. Because the drummer lives in Florida, so he flew up for that weekend, and then Tom came from New York, and Pete lives nearby, and we recorded like the basic tracks for all 50 songs, and then spent the next year sending files back and forth, through Dropbox and slowly putting it all together. It was a lot of work, and it's crazy. Like it feels like ancient history, but I mean it's less than a year ago. It just and a few people noticed, but I mean very few. Like before it came out, we're like, we're gonna take the music world by storm, and then like 5 weeks later, we're like, okay, what's our next project gonna be?
I can imagine with all your projects, like coming out with so much. It's kind of like, wait, like that was only a year ago.
Yeah.
Kind of like with all the kind of stuff you make.
Right,
I feel that way with college sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I finished all 50 states, an album about the cities in each state. I finished that right around that time too. But like the thing is, just keep producing stuff, and then it's weird. Like people will take note of something I did 6 years ago, and so all I can do is just keep on making it, and I think the fact that I keep making it also helps, draw attention to all of it and stuff too.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about the new Moshaven album. And on the new Moshaven album, on your song, the second song, which is called Whatever Bones We May Break.
Yeah.
There were some lyrics that said, just to dream to be seen by 20-year-olds passing by.
Yeah.
And I understand that lyric in the context of Moshaven, but, as a 20-year-old, I know that, like, a lot of people my age in particular have seen your content. Like, my friend Brad loves the Brad Poop song. And I guess kind of segueing from that point, I want to ask you, how do you feel like Gen Z's sense of humor, like, kind of impacts your content, and how does, like, meme culture also, like, influence your work?
Yeah. I take a hands-off approach in general. I'm, like I don't have, like, a TikTok account, where I'm, like... But all my songs are available on TikTok for people to use and make videos, And that's my... I'm happy to have it that way. It's like it's there, people can use it, but I don't want to be this, 45-year-old, hello fellow teens, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, clearly someone's listening, and my phone number is very open, and people are calling me daily. Texts. I wake up every morning to numerous texts at all hours of the night, like do the Jonathan Poop song, but it's JONOTHAN. I just write back, okay, we'll do. So yeah. What I'm also excited about is I'm catching this whole generation when they're young and impressionable, and they don't know what a good singing voice is yet, and they hear me and they're like, well, maybe that's a good singing voice. So I'm fooling them into accepting my vocal stylings.
Your vocals are excellent.
Thank you.
That's so funny with Jonathan because it's phonetically the same.
I know, but still, I think I've done multiple spellings of multiple names, and so it's a brand new song. Like there's several Caitlin Poop songs, but they're all very mildly spelled differently.
There's the Matt and the Matthew Poop song.
I love being thorough, and also like my clerical system is not like it's not like I have an assistant. It's literally me making these lists, and so I've done the same spelling multiple times for some names just because I forgot. Oh whoops, I already did Ashley with a Y, but oh well, I guess there's two of them now.
Kind of, you mentioned how strangers contact you. It was very easy for me to call you and ask for this interview. And what's the most memorable experience you've had with a stranger that have just like contacted you out of the blue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can even pick just one, but I mean, I have multiple people who I just consider like friends at this point, who I've texted with for years, and some are like NBA people who are fans of other teams, and so when those teams are playing the Celtics, we're texting back and forth, And someone one couple invited me to their wedding, but it's in Alberta, Canada, so I was like, I don't think I can do it. Then another couple asked if we would play at their wedding, how much would we charge? So I consulted with the other members of the band, and we came to a number, $10,000, which seems like a lot, but it's a wedding in Iowa. We're going to have to fly there and blah, blah, blah. So I wrote back $10,000. Radio silence from them. They ghosted me.
Oh, no.
Apparently it was more than they thought we'd cost. But we were doing the math. We're like, we'll barely break even, like
right.
Four of us going to Iowa, staying in hotels, But anyway, the moral of the story is, I'm getting texts all the time, and a lot of people are like, why, like, isn't it awful to give out your number? And I'm like, well, it's wonderful. I ended up at the Danvers Library with a college student, and I loved how easy it was to schedule this too. You're like, maybe we could be at the Danvers Library. I'm like, okay, Friday, sounds good.
What NBA players text you?
No, not NBA players. I'm sorry. Fans of other NBA teams.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I understand.
So,
now.
like, a Bucks fan will text me when the Bucks are playing the Celtics. No, that would be cool if Jason Tatum was texting me.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
But I bet you I gotta update. I've done a lot of sports songs. I did a lot of sports songs like 10, 15 years ago. I gotta do that for the new generation of stars, because most of them are retired by now. But I will say, I saw a video of Chase Utley when he was playing for the Dodgers, and they were playing my song about him in the locker room.
Oh my god!
So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That must have felt very
yes.
yes.
And a few minor league players, when I just sing a person's name over and over again, a few have used that as their walk-up music when they're going up to hit at home plate. So that's pretty neat.
Mission accomplished.
Yes.
When you were working on the new Moshaven album, when did you kind of realize that it was going to be a more serious album?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a whirlwind, because we thought it was going to be wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did this long walk. Long walks are good places to collaborate, to throw around ideas. And so on the walk, we listed dozens of crazy, strange, silly concepts, And then musically, I was coming up with stuff that was, not off the wall. It was just kind of like good music, and then I'd send it to Tom, and he would just write good lyrics, and they weren't really silly or anything. And frankly, then he'd send them back to me. I'd tweak them just a little bit, make them even more serious, And we're like, yeah, what are you gonna do? We got to go with it, I don't think you should ever be married to what you think a project's gonna be. You got to let it evolve as it's going, and whatever it ends up being is what it's going to be, So yeah, I'm super happy with how it came out. I mean, there's still the thing about us, even our most serious songs have a few jokes in them anyway, or just some weirdness to them. Like there's a song, the Old Matador and the Maid on that album, and it's sung from the point of view of this, old matador who's in love with the woman who brings him coffee at a coffee shop, and it's incredibly heartfelt performance, but it's also a little ridiculous too, I think, at least, to imagine this old dude in love with the barista. So we like walking the line, but at least not going completely on the silly side. It feels good in an artistic way. And
even, keeping things serious, but adding a touch of humor to it, that's just natural. It's very human.
Yeah, and all our favorite, Bob Dylan is a well-respected poet. He's got a Nobel Prize in literature,
right.
But I think his lyrics are hilarious half the time, if you listen closely enough, like even Blood on the Tracks is like considered his like most heartfelt confessional album, and there's lines on there that just crack me up to no end. So if he can get away with it, we can too.
So it's been about 10 years, right, since you released Mo's Haven album. There's like kind of, I know there's been projects like in between, but there's really been 10 years since your last studio albums. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little more. I think Stromboli's Alarm Clock was the last official Mo's, and that was 2010, I think. So yeah, 13 years.
I kind of want to know, how come you want to close the book on Mo's Haven now?
Yeah.
And if this album kind of gave you like the sense of closure that you were looking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were basically done with Stromboli's Alarm Clock. That was like our final, like, let's just try to make a really good album and get people's attention one last time, you know. And I emailed every radio station in America and mailed CDs to places. We got played on like a couple little like acoustic hour shows, which was exciting, but I mean, nothing came of it. And you know, Tom had moved to New York near Pennsylvania, so you know, him coming up for the weekend and recording was not really in the cards like it used to. He used to live in Boston, I used to live in New Hampshire, so we would meet up in that way. But I don't know, just at some point in talking, we were like, yeah, we'll do one more album in 2023, you know, is what we said. And then I made a movie called Local Legends, in which I mentioned that plan. And I almost halfway forgot about it, but sometimes people would watch the movie and be like, are you really going to do an album in 2023? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then 2023 came, and I was like, Tom, we got to do one last album. He's like, okay.
Besides the several supreme beings telling you to do so.
Yes. And then I'm super happy with the way it came out, you know, and it's still fresh to me because, I mean, we just, like, we started around Thanksgiving. It was released before New Year's, and we were making changes and whatnot up to the day before we released it, you know, just like redoing a few lines here and there, etc. So it's growing on me, actually, quite a bit, like, the more I listen to it, and I like it. I like it that it's not, despite the title, you know, it's not like a grand statement. It's just, here's 13 songs that we came up with, and I think we still got it. So yeah, but it's like, it's fun to also say we're done, you know, because it adds a little grandiosity to it, and Tom and I are still in the big heist, so I mean, we're still gonna write songs together.
Right. You compared it to like when the Ben Folds 5 released a new album, and it kind of lost some of its youthfulness, but this album still has, you know, kind of like that energy to it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Well, and the one thing that keeps me going is like Ben Folds 5 were in certain circles household names, you know. Like, Ben Folds is on TV, you know, he's done well, and sometimes I wonder if people kind of lose their edge with success, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, given our lack of success, I'm like, well, look, we don't have much success, but we still have the edge, at least, you know? And so, we're writing these songs, still trying to kind of prove ourselves like a bunch of rookie songwriters, and so that's one thing we have going for us. So I'll trade that for success, though.
Integrity, like, yeah, this is us.
I mean, come on, we've put out plenty of good material. Now let's reap the rewards.
Mr. Farley, out of all the foods that you sing about, which one is your favorite food?
Yeah, probably pizza. Pizza's my go-to food, I would say, and. You know, I have two kids, and when it's my responsibility to feed them, I just have to fight the urge to bring them to some dirty pizza shop, you know, because that's all I want to do. I'm not I'm the type of person who opens the fridge and just stares at it and just starts crying because I don't know what to do with all the ingredients in there. So yeah, pizza's my go-to, but I do try to force to feed my kids healthy food as much as possible.
Pizza's delicious. I eat pizza like every day.
Oh,
it's bad.
It's real good. Also, roast beef sandwiches. Around here, there's a lot of nice roast beef shops, and I'm a big fan of junior beef sandwiches.
Is that in Danvers?
Yeah. If on your way home, go to Supreme Roast Beef. They have good stuff there.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any pizza places around here that's like?
Yeah, I like Sam and Joe's, which is also down the road.
Yeah.
They have a dine-in area, but also a takeout window. Yeah, I mean, pizza's the best. I can't say enough good things about it.
You said that you're starting to film. You're going to film a movie in the spring.
Yeah.
What can we expect from Motern Media this year in 2024?
Okay. So, well, let me tell you top secret news, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. I say it's top secret, and I don't announce it, like, on Twitter, which is where I typically announce things. But I tell everyone I see, and I'm happy to tell it on your podcast. Have you seen my movie Local Legends?
I've not seen it.
Okay, well, you got to check that out, because I'm filming the sequel, Local Legends, currently. So that's exciting. It's a very small solo project. And then in terms of like the next big one, Evil Puddle is the name of the next movie that we're making. And it's like a disaster movie where the thing that kills people is a puddle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, need I say any more? I mean, come on, that explains it. It's
I love that.
Evil Puddle.
Evil Puddle, it's so cool.
Frankly, it was my wife suggested the title. She was like, I was telling her all the movie ideas we had, and there was one called Evil Spot, and she was like, what about Evil Puddle? And I said, that's brilliant. Wrote it down on the list and then called Charlie. I'm like, Charlie, we got to make a movie called Evil Puddle. That's all I got so far, but we can figure it out.
Is the puddle like, you said it's a disaster movie, but is the puddle kind of like a monster?
No, it just sits there. Basically, it's really just, I don't want to give too much away, but something happens for a period of time where all the faucets are running and the water that's coming out of them is evil, and if you step on it you die.
Okay.
And so and then we have different groups of characters who are all dealing with puddles.
I love that. That's so awesome. That's so cool. So
as we're writing it, we're like, I think the people could probably mostly just step over it, but we gotta just like present the puddle in such a way that it looks too hard to jump across, you know? And I want to get that one money shot where like the puddle's in the foreground and someone walks up to it and then just starts screaming and running the other direction. Yeah. Yes, I mean, who cares about the rest of the movie? If we get that shot, it's worth it.
I love that. It's so cool. I kind of felt like I had to ask this question.
Yeah.
What do you prefer, new socks or new underwear?
Oh, yeah, new socks for sure. I feel like new underwear takes a little time to get comfortable, but new socks are really, really cozy. And I'm a walker. I'm a big-time walker. And so if I have some extra cushions on my socks, that would be great. Last night I did 16 miles all around town. Yeah.
Wow.
I did Danvers to Beverly to Salem to Peabody and back to Danvers. So yeah. In fact, a person who I've never actually met him before, but a guy who knows my music and texts me from time to time, and I know him on Twitter. He once mailed me some real nice socks. His name is Rob Love up in Washington. He mailed me some socks because he knew I did a lot of long walks, and some of the best socks ever.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, socks, yeah, you don't have to break them in. They're just ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think socks are best immediately, and then they get worse, whereas underwear is a little stiff early on and then gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Socks are very expressive too. You can wear any kind of sock.
Yeah, but plus, you can make puppets out of them too.
Yeah, sock puppets are great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like writing all these comedic novelty songs kind of limits how you express yourself creatively or through music?
Yeah. So, no, I don't think it limits it at all. I think it helps it. Like, writing an album about food actually makes a Moshaven album better, because I look at, like, creating this album about food, I'm practicing piano, I'm practicing vocals, I'm practicing writing lyrics, I'm exploring different musical ideas, I'm like, what if I do a song where the chord never changes? And like, yeah, sure, well, just see what happens, So yes, that's helpful in honing your craft. I do think, though, that the novelty songs make it easy for a listener to write me off as a goofy sideshow novelty act, and I want to be like, no, there's more to me. I'm actually I'm a true artist, I swear. And they're like, yeah, whatever, poop boy, So, but on the flip side, though, if I didn't have the novelty songs, I think even fewer people would listen to my serious songs. So, ultimately, if you're not going to have a record company promoting you, I'd say writing 25,000 songs is a good way to promote yourself, And I think it's been a good part of the reason that I'm known to the extent I am,
That kind of goes back to kind of like what you were saying earlier about being creative and just kind of like having an idea and going with it, just kind of like for the reason of practicing.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of something that also Kurt Vonnegut said something very similar about kind of like picking up an art or an art form just to practice the art of like becoming, like getting good at something and expressing yourself as a person.
Yeah.
So I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah.
And amazing.
And also, like, the more stuff you put out, the tougher it makes you, because like if you write your first song and then you want to play it for someone, it's going to be like a major anxiety-inducing moment. It's going to be like the longest 3 minutes of your life as you're playing your song for someone, and you're staring at them with your needy eyes and your desperation, and you want them to like it. And then they look at their phone while they're listening to the song, and it crushes you inside. You're like, why did they look at their phone? They should be focusing on my song, And so... it's good to write so many songs that you're at the point where you don't even want to play them for anybody anymore, and it just toughens you up, and then you can save it for like the real best creations to bother your friends and family with, and they'll still check their phones, no matter what. But on the flip side, you could play them anyone else's song, they're going to check their phone too. You could show them a movie, they're going to check their phone, so you're in good company. But still, when it's your work and they're barely paying attention, like I'll tease my wife when she gets home from work, from driving home. I'll be like, so were you enjoying the new Moshaven on your ride home? And she's like, yeah, of course. I was like, oh, which song do you like? I liked the third one and the fifth one. I'm like, oh, great. What was your favorite lyric? And then she'll run out of the room. But I don't know how we got on this topic, but the moral of the story is like people in your life, you got to go easy on them if you're a creative person, because like you're giving them homework all the time by forcing them to listen to your work and to analyze it, and and they feel so needy, and it's hard for them to look at you as an artist because they know you,
Right.
So have mercy on the people in your life.
My last interview was like almost an hour long, and I said it to my parents. I was like, "You guys don't have to listen to this if you don't want to. Like, don't worry about it."
Yeah, I know, and they want to be supportive. Yeah, but I'm teasing when I quiz my wife on it, but like, it is our inclination to literally be like, well, what'd you think of what happened in the 5th scene? And they're like, oh my God, leave me alone. You know, I turned it off after the 3rd scene. You know, so anyway, what do we got next?
So, I guess, by the way, my mom and dad did listen to my whole interview. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, they're the best.
I guess this is my last question. And the motto of Clark University, which is a university I don't go to, is challenge convention and change the world. Yeah. And I want to know, how do you, Matt Farley of Motern Media, challenge convention and change the world?
Okay, I think I do one of those things at least. You know, I'm working on the second one, but I mean, I like to challenge the convention of what, like, who's allowed to be a creative person. You know, who's allowed to make a movie, because people, I feel like the overwhelming belief is like, you need to be chosen by a movie studio, and they need to fund your project, and you have to make a movie through what the traditional, you know, big budget thing. And I'm out here, I'm like, you know what? Cameras are not that expensive anymore. Editing equipment is not that expensive anymore. And there's lots of people out there who want to act in a movie. You just put out an ad on Craigslist, or you just ask people you know. And so I totally want to challenge that convention. Like, instead of everyone in the country watching 10 movie stars, you know, what if in every town there was a group of people making movies? You know, that would be so much more interesting, because the only movies we see are the movies made by millionaire movie makers. Like, the point of view that we're subjected to all the time is the point of view of super successful, super driven, super rich movie stars. And like, I'd love to see like what movie an accountant would make, you know, like, and be an accountant, but also make a movie. Wouldn't that be so cool? I would love it. He could make like a thriller called The Accountant, you know? And I don't know what would happen in it, but, you know, it's just like, so I challenge that, because we are very much subjected to the points of view of a very small amount of people who are in New York or Los Angeles, and it's like I want to see what normal people have to say. So that, and yeah, changing the world is getting other people to do that, but not many are following my lead, but maybe they will. You know, it takes a little while, but I know when people happen upon my movies, some of them have these moments where they're like, oh my God, I used to do this when I was in high school with my friends, except you guys are full-grown adults with jobs and families, and you're still making these movies in your backyard, and like, it blows their minds. So I would love to inspire the world to do stuff like that. A lot of people are waiting for permission, you know, or waiting to be like accepted by a gatekeeper who said, all right, now you're a real musician because you got signed by a record company. And it's like, you know, and obviously there's plenty of great musicians who have released music through record companies. But nowadays, especially, you need it less and less and less. I mean, in the old days, if you wanted to get your album on in every record store, you couldn't just do that, you know, like out of your garage. But now you can get your music on Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and all the other ones, available worldwide without leaving your house, you know. So I wish there was more of that, more people just making the music they feel like making and putting it out there. Because it's interesting to listen to, and it's good for them too. I think being involved in creative projects is just good for you, you know. And not enough people do it. Like, if you think about all the hours that most people spend watching TV, like in an average day, I mean, 4 hours you're sitting and watch TV, and it's probably way more than that for a lot of people. Cut that in half. Spend 2 hours writing a script, you know, and I think it'll get your juices flowing.
Well, Mr. Farley, our interview is pretty much over.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to say to anyone who'd like to be might be watching this?
Yeah. Well, my personal phone number is 603-644-0048. I love talking about stuff like this, so check in anytime. And what else? My friends and I, we discussed it, and we plan to keep doing this till we're 93 years old.
Let's go. That's great news.
Almost 50 more years of this, you know? So I'm very excited. Like, I want to make like a romantic comedy, you know? But like when I'm 82, you know? And not dwell on the age thing either. You know? Just make a total straight romantic comedy. 82, it never comes up. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Yeah, that'd be so great.
Yeah. I also, maybe when I'm 60, make a movie where my character's 32, you know?
Yeah.
And just play it completely straight, and frequently throughout the movie being like, look, I'm 32 years old. I got to get my life in order, you know? Except I'm going to be 60. And again, it's fun to like, to have one like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if a 60-year-old made a movie where he was 32? It's one thing to say that to you. Like, it's another thing to spend like 6 months filming it, editing it, and whatnot, you know, to put all that work into that joke. So yeah, the point is, for the next 48 years, I'll be doing stuff like that. So get on board, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
'Cause this is my United States of